We all love to rag on Disney nowadays, don't we? For once being this big creative powerhouse in the animation industry, releasing animated classic after animated classic after animated classic, it's now becoming another soulless corporation who only cares about your money and might just take over the world someday. But there's still a side to Disney, behind all this remaking BS and forced feminism and buying other properties and studios and shit, that still cares about creating genuinely good products for their audience to consume. This has been shown with their cartoon shows, MCU movies, Pixar, and especially their own set of animated movies they've been releasing for the past decade. Big example being their more recent animated movie, Encanto. I initially never had much interest in watching this movie. It didn't look bad or anything, but there wasn't anything there that would make me want to rush myself to see it in theaters opening day. However, once it eventually released, it started getting some really fantastic reviews, with folks saying it's a new Disney classic and it's the best Disney movie in years and it's so much better than Raya and the Last Dragon. And that alone was enough to get me interested in watching the movie, so I waited for it to come to Disney Plus, where at that point I wouldn't have to pay $30 fucking for it. Cough cough. I gave it a watch, and yes, I can safely say the hype for this movie is completely warranted. Encanto is a new Disney classic. Encanto is the best Disney movie in a while. And Encanto is better than fucking Raya. With that being said, please indulge me for the next few minutes as I gush about Disney's Encanto and what makes this movie just so great. Now when it comes to the story, it's really nothing too deep. It's just about this magical family with superpowers ranging from super strength, super hearing, shape-shifting, and our main character, Mirabelle, doesn't have a gift. That's what they're actually called in the movie. She then notices the candle giving them all their powers is starting to die out, so now it's up to Mirabelle to figure out what the hell's going on. Sometimes having a smaller scale, straightforward story can be pretty beneficial for a movie at times. Encanto is a great example of this. This movie doesn't have any globe-ending stakes or a big evil villain, just some magical house that's going to potentially be destroyed if the family within said house doesn't get their shit together. So Encanto doesn't have the most groundbreaking story ever. Okay, so how are the other elements in this movie? Are they any good? Why am I even asking this? You read the damn title! Now for a movie with almost 12 main characters, I'm genuinely surprised that I was able to fall in love with almost everyone. Even some of the lesser developed characters are still fun to be around. I loved Camilo and his annoying little cousin antics. I found myself relating to Dolores a little bit, seeing as she's the one with super hearing, and I'm always said to have really good hearing around my house. I enjoyed Peppa Pig, the weather controlling one, and her stressed, panicky nature. And Felix is a pretty wholesome husband to her. Really enjoyed Antonio, the one who talks animals. I don't really care too much for Mirabelle's parents, honestly. I mean, they're not bad or anything, but they're probably the only characters I can consider kind of whatever. Now let's talk about some of the more fleshed out characters. Like I said before, our main character Mirabelle doesn't have a gift. All because the door that was supposed to give her powers just kinda disappeared on her that day. And now she's left feeling as if she doesn't have a purpose in the family. It sort of reminds me of Lincoln's not feeling special arc from that stupid Loud House movie I talked about not too long ago. Only there, it felt insanely forced given that the movie already showed special talents Lincoln had. So yeah, while I can't say I really related to Mirabelle like a lot of people, I still think she's a strong enough protagonist. And despite having no powers, I still appreciate how she still wants to help out the family. And her helpfulness and empathy is kind of the thing that helps saves the magic. Even if Abuela really wasn't much help at first, but we'll get to that. Now it's time to talk about who seems to be everyone's favorite character, Bruno. Now, before I even saw this movie, I already knew there was a song called We Don't Talk About Bruno. I eventually did discover what Bruno looked like. He didn't really seem like a bad guy, so that got me wondering, what did he do to make the family not want to talk about him? Nothing really. He had the power to see the future, causing everyone to overreact around him, which eventually led to him living in the walls of his own house. You can't help but feel bad for Bruno, because like I said, he didn't really do anything wrong. People just kind of took the most minor shit like your fish dying or balding, which by the way are all things that would happen eventually, and just kind of blamed it on Bruno's future seeing powers. Even his own sister Peppa did this. Oh, wrong footage, I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of the whole reason Bruno quote-unquote left the family. Even if it wasn't his fault, he still left for the well-being of everyone around him. And it just makes it all the more satisfying to see him reunite with the family in the end. Bruno's also pretty damn funny, too.
All the patching's done by Hernando. Who is Hernando?
I'm Hernando and I'm scared of nothing. It's actually me. I say my real gift was acting. I'm Jorge. I made the sparkle.
Yeah, nothing more to say. I just love Bruno, man. As for some of the other characters, I do want to get to them later because they are kind of important to the movie's themes. In the meantime, let's discuss the songs. Lin-Manuel Miranda's really outdone himself here because the songs in this movie are just so fucking good. To make this easier, I think I'm going to try my best to go through each song individually, starting with The Family Madrigal. This is such a fun, vibrant, upbeat song to start the movie with. It also does its job at establishing all the characters and their powers and roles within the family, along with 3 random kids for Mirabel to explain everything to. Because, you know, it'd be kind of weird for Mirabel to be singing this to no one. There's also this kid.
Just tell us what everyone can do!
Okay, next song. Waiting on a Miracle. The song where there's a miracle, Mirabel sure is waiting on it. Okay, in all seriousness though, this is a pretty damn good song. The visuals are nice, the rhythm's nice, and it serves its purpose as a little I Want song for Mirabel. Surface Pressure is a pure fucking banger, accustomed with these crazy friend-like-me-esque visuals, while also going in depth on one of our main characters, Luisa. More on her later though. We don't talk about Bruno. Rightfully considered the best song of the movie. From its rapidly changing scenery, to the unique verses everyone gets to sing, to this amazing final bit where everyone's singing the verses. Oh my god, it sounds so good. What Else Can I Do doesn't really impress me all that much musically, but it still has some really great visuals and it progresses the story really well. Like, I loved seeing how Mirabel only wanted to hug Isabella just because Bruno's prophecy said so. But by the end of the song, they genuinely grow closer. That's great plot progression right there. All of You is such a beautiful, heartwarming song that's perfect for the end of the movie. I loved seeing Bruno accepted back in the family. I loved seeing the townspeople help fix the house. I love seeing Mirabel get her own doorknob dedicated to her. Oh my god, I love this song, okay? I fucking love this movie. Okay, sorry I didn't spend too much time on the songs, but I think you get my point. These songs are great and definitely deserve to be more... These songs are great and definitely deserve to be more popular than Frozen. Fuck, why is it so hard to say? These songs are great and definitely deserve to be more popular than... Fuck. These songs are great and definitely deserve to be more popular than Frozen. Now, before we end the video, there's still one more thing about this movie I want to discuss, which is the message. Remember when I said there were a few characters I wanted to get into later? Well, now's that time, folks. So without further ado, let's discuss the abuela, who's essentially the one running the family, holding it together and making sure everyone's in line, and also helping out the town. Here's the problem, though. Abuela has kind of set her expectations for the family a little too high. She's always expecting them to act a certain way all the time, or do a lot of work, which as we can see has overwhelmed quite a bit of the family. Case in point, the strong sister, Luisa. Luisa's been seen doing a lot of heavy work around the town, which has also led her to believe that if she can't be strong enough for something, what purpose does she have? And much like Bruno, you genuinely feel bad for her. Then there's Isabella, the perfect one who grows flowers and shit. She's always pressured into being perfect, even being forced into marrying Markiplier over here, solely to help the family get more gifts, I mean offspring. Later in the movie, she confesses to Mirabel she doesn't want to be perfect or marry Markiplier, which causes her to grow a cactus, something she never did before. And of course, we see her grow a variety of different plants and get a new look. And of course, we also see that Abuela always puts Mirabel down simply because, well, she has no gift. Wow, this character seems like an absolute bitch. Surely she can't have an understandable reason for doing all this, right? Well, let's get into that. So the movie shows these flashbacks of a young Abuela with this guy. They get married, have kids, and then these soldiers attack, so they have to leave their village. But the husband eventually sacrificed himself, leaving Abuela to watch an absolute horror. But then she was blessed with a miracle, seeing as the candle she had became magical and shit, and, well, that's what created the house. Not to mention a safer location for her and everyone else to be in. This was also sort of the reason why she got this toxic. Abuela felt in order to keep the family safe and the magic strong, the family had to act a certain way and do a lot of work and shit to fully meet Abuela's expectations. But that was kind of the thing hurting the magic. And after the house is completely destroyed and the candles burnt out, That's when Abuela finally opens up to Mirabel about her past, admits she was wrong, and apologizes to the rest of the family, saying that the miracle wasn't some stupid superpower. It was all of them. The way the message is handled is just phenomenal. It's very subtle, like I didn't even properly notice it the first time watching. And they didn't need to make Abuela this obvious mustache-twirling villain, or god forbid, a twist villain, just to make it work. It's just very down to earth, very subtle, and just a very well-handled message. Well, those are my thoughts on Encanto, and I gotta say, I genuinely regret not seeing this in theaters. Not to mention, this is now up there with Mitchell's vs. the Machines as one of my favorite animated movies of the decade. With its admittedly not so original story and cast of like 12 characters, this could have easily been just another mediocre Disney movie that no one talks about after its release. You know, just like what happened with Ralph Breaks the Internet, Frozen 2, and Raya and the Last Dragon. But almost everything about this movie, from its story, to its themes, to its characters, to its songs, was just executed beautifully. And again, they didn't need this huge world, or big globe-ending stakes, or a big globe-ending villain. They just rolled what they needed for a story like this to actually work. And while this movie might not be enough to fully convince Disney to not be so scummy, it's still one of those things that shows there's still genuine passion and talent at that company. So if you haven't seen Encanto yet, well, what the fuck are you doing? Like I said earlier, it's on Disney Plus right now, so I highly encourage you to watch it as soon as you possibly can. You really don't want to miss out on this future Disney classic. Okay, bye.